what to do with my hands. Yeah.
Hey, yo, and welcome to the AWO Journeyman podcast, where the trio and the band boys, is back together. I am JD, the Carlton fan, who's once again let the boys down this week in getting 3 wins from 3 games. Disappointing as usual. Joining me is Nate, the Collingwood fan, who, let's be honest, is going to be on top of the world.
Actually not. I just wasted fucking $90 on this. I can't have it all.
Well, that's on you for wasting the $90. And this week, returning, Maso, back after Freo finally turned up to the 2023 season, as mentioned previously.
Coincidence? I don't know. Do you have to decide that for yourself?
I think not. Boys, let's talk some footy.
Righto. Friday night footy. Marvel
No.
Stadium.
I'm wearing the respects beanie.
Good initiative that is, though, for Carlton. It's a shame you haven't won that game.
I actually have a thing to put out quickly. Do we think do many teams win in games where they put on some like a special event? I would love to see the stat behind that.
Freo.
Yeah, we did. We actually did for once, and we actually kicked accurately for those poor kids. Because each time I've been, we kicked like 6 goals, 13 is like the average. And then, like, I think one of the games, Geelong just absolutely destroyed us. And
I remember that.
And yeah, and I was like, I think I was getting angry, and I was like, well, yeah, Geelong just does not give a fuck about sick kids.
I think I just want to see the stat behind. What did I just? Jesus, that just hit me. Carlton go down on Friday night in the respects game. 11-8-74 to the Lions. 15-10, 100 in a game where there was Carlton let way too many Lions players run openly into goal. That was probably the hardest part of the game to watch in the third quarter. Watching the game just slip away from easy, it was realistically just easy stops. Like, all we had to do was put in a little bit more effort, and there were certain decisions that Nick Newman was making that were, from a guy who took out Toby Green, earlier in the year, to getting torn up by Charlie Cameron. A little bit of a fall there, and now he's missing a week after giving Lachie Neale a bit of the old 1-2 left, right, good night.
I don't know. I reckon Lachie Neale would have just eaten it, though.
They reckon there was a little bit of mustard on it because everyone thought he was going to get away from it. And then it's funny because he was for a while. And then after the game, all of a sudden the media picked up on it and everyone jumped on it. So, yeah.
But
unfortunate.
If you're watching at home, all I could hear was dog shot. That's what the players were saying. So many. Dog shot.
Oh, jeez.
But Nick Newman takes a week off. Go home. Think about what you did, mate.
This is his chance to take on Cody Waitman. I reckon they'll bring in they've dubbed him his son, so it's Nick Newman's son, which is Lachie Cowan. So
coming back in,
yeah, bring him back in, give him the job, let a kid have a go. I mean, Cody Waitman's not too old, so yeah, have a go, Lachie. Be interesting to see. Don't bring in Plowman, please. Don't bring in Plowman.
I just want to jump in. I had a question for John.
No.
Now, there's talks going around is that the reason that this is going on is that there is a massive dip in quality from the top 10 to
absolutely
the rest of the players. Yeah. Of your team. And when those top players don't perform, that everybody else just kind of packs it in.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's happening week in and week out pretty much, where we just find ourselves in, like, it's weird. We find ourselves in it for like half a game, and then we just find ourselves dropping away, usually in the third. I reckon our third quarters this year have probably been the worst quarter for us this year. And then we're just chasing during the fourth, and we're just not being able to put together anything like sustained. Like, a lot of it's just slow ball movement, like a lot of costly mistakes on Friday night. There was so much there was a lot of turnover. And early on, it was okay because, we were causing the Lions to turn it over just as much. But once the Lions started, getting their class back, like we were just looking like a second-rate team. And I think Nath was probably going to bring it up that Kane Corns called us a bottom 6 club at the moment. And
it was such a passing comment, the way he said it. I'm like, that's a bit much, but that's Kane Corns for you.
But I would tend to agree with it at the moment. Like, we are looking like the way we are playing our football is a bottom 6 club. Like, destroying a waffle team is, 1 week is one thing. But, to come out the week later and produce what we did against Brisbane, I've heard a lot of people say to me, like, oh, Brisbane are a good club. Like, it's okay. And I'm like, yeah, we've also got 6 weeks of, next 5 weeks now are just very challenging. And I think I said to you, Nate, last week, like, this is the 6 weeks that's going to you got to win these games. Like, you can't just lose to Brisbane, lose to the Dogs. Like, it's a must win this week against the Dogs is the best way to look at it. So, yeah.
You should beat the Dogs.
Should, but who knows? Because the Dogs are in mighty fine form. The Dogs are a very good team to watch at the moment. So, it's going to be a very hard battle when we're playing the sort of footy we're producing. Again, their midfield depth is getting tested though, so that's a little bit of a plus for us. So, but yeah, don't want to harp too much about Carlton because Brisbane's the one we should be talking about. They're flying at the moment. Yeah. Five wins in a row. I think I saw it very funny. If you follow them on Instagram, they had a very funny post where they had Chris Fagan with rounds 1 to 3 looking away, and then Chris Fagan with the rest, where he's like,
hey.
So, yeah, well done to the Lions. Lions are a very good team. Like, they're looking the goods at the moment. So, showing why we had them as our premiership favourite coming into the year. So, yeah, good on the Lions. And you talk about mosquito fleets. Like, we had Joe Danaher pretty much covered the whole night. We had Eric Hipwood covered pretty much the whole night, but their mosquito fleet just went to work. And, Zach Bailey, Charlie Cameron, absolutely. You and the gritty. Hey, story time. So I'm sitting at the game, and all I kept getting was this picture of Zach Bailey doing the gritty.
And it wasn't cropped properly.
It was not cropped properly. My OCD kicked in hard.
Well, he shouldn't have kicked those goals.
He shouldn't have.
I missed every single one of them. Like, each time I'd walk out the room, and he'd kick a fucking goal. Like, each and every time.
I was just like, oh, God, another Zach Bailey goal? Fuck, I posted again.
And again.
That's what it was. It's funny, the preview I did was talked up Carlton's midfield for getting a lot of disposals. I talked up Brisbane's midfield for getting a lot of clearances. Carlton won the disposals. Brisbane won the clearances, only just. But I did not bank on Brisbane bringing the fucking intensity in this game. They had 75 tackles, season high. That I wasn't banking on. I also wasn't banking on Josh Dunkley toweling up Patrick Cripps in the midfield. 33 disposals, 13 tackles, 6 clearances, and 11 marks. I've not taken Josh Dunkley as the contested marking type, yet he produces 11 marks. They said it was a quadruple double, 22 kicks, 11 handballs was in those. He was head and shoulders best on ground. Another player who had a career best game was Jack Payne down back. Did not expect him to keep Curnow to just one goal, but that was more about Carlton's delivery inside 50. I don't want to go too negative on Carlton again, but the delivery was shocking. In that third quarter, it looked like Carlton needed to buy a vowel because they had no bloody clue down forward. Mackay and Curnow just weren't figuring it out down forward. And it was so bad at three-quarter time. I'm not sure if you saw this on the replay. Voss spoke directly to Curnow and Mackay in the three-quarter time huddle to get their shit together. That was how bad it was getting.
Yeah, they did not have their best day out. Brisbane had them pretty well nullified anyway. I mean, it was just a game in the end for Carlton fans. Streaming out at three-quarter time looked like the old days. It was it sort of takes you back a little bit. It was kind of fun. It took me back to 2017.
I was going to say it's one of the worst I've seen. I can't say it's worse, but terms of mass exodus, it's one of the worst I've seen post-COVID. I know Richmond have done it a few times, but Carlton fans, that was... But it's fair enough.
At your own team.
It's fair enough. It's that effort in that third quarter. I know it's Brisbane, but you'd expect to, take it to them. You did that in the first quarter, and then it just dropped off. And it makes you question whether there has been improvement under Michael Voss. There was a similar game last year against Sydney. You won Friday night. I think it was like round 10, something similar timing, and you won that game. And this time you haven't. So it does show you have gone backwards a little bit. Is it to the point of being a bottom six side? I do have a few more positives for Carlton. Doherty's 150th. Just good to see bloke get to that stage. Chera, best midfielder, probably the best player for Carlton. And Matty
Ches is
Kennedy,
putting together one hell of a season.
he's your third best midfielder. And Matthew Kennedy, being the sub, yet was probably more impactful than most of your players.
Bam.
Bam, bam, Bigelow.
Bigelow. Yeah, it was, never make Matty Kennedy the sub again. There's a lot of things we got to figure out. Matty always does come back in, hopefully this week. So see if that gives us a bit more forward structure. I made a point a few weeks ago that I think that's where the forward structure went a bit out the window. He's the leader of that Mosquito fleet, like the senior head of it. So let's see how the boys perform with him around him. So a few more positives to come in, but again, more positives for the Lions. They just keep rolling, looking for their 6th win in a row, and very much so a possibility to do it.
No, they've got Essendon next week at the Gather.
The old motorbike.
Yeah, but Essendon can give you a weird run for your money out of nowhere. So
fair enough. They beat Brisbane last year at the Gabba, but Carlton and the Dogs. That is what. Let's start this cliche 8-point game.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But we have beaten them in the last 3 years.
Yeah, got the most recent one.
Yeah, so as I was going to say, most recent one, I think they beat us the year before, and I think we beat them the year before that. So, it's definitely a chance, but the way Carlton are looking at the moment, every chance to drop another one. So, big watch at Marvel Stadium this week is probably the way to look at it.
Draw watch.
Draw watch. Get us back an extra couple of points. All right, moving on to Saturday games. So, we start off on Saturday. Do you want to start with this, Nate? Because you watched it. I didn't really get.
We go from one game where fans walked out to a game that no fans turned up. And that was Richmond and West Coast. Under 30,000 at the MCG Saturday afternoon. We thought it was going to be an upset. West Coast had the lead.
What?
No, West Coast had the lead for the most part of the game.
Oh, okay, okay.
Maso, shut up. Richmond won by 46 points. Relax. Richmond snapped a 5-game losing streak here, defeated West Coast by 46 points off the back of Dion Prestia's hat-trick in the third quarter. I don't know the last time we had a hat-trick at the MCG, but... Meatball sub and a lot of junk time goals for Richmond as well. Taranto and Hopper. Taranto sticking it to his hater.
That to save my life.
It said meatball, and they gave him the green sticker.
The green sticker.
Taranto and Hopper, 10 clearances each, and Shea Bolden, best on ground, 31 disposals, 3 goals, 7 clearances. Also got to factor in Noah Cumberland, minus 12 Supercoach points. That was fucking weird. But I will defend him a little bit. Did you guys see the 50-metre penalty he gave away?
I did not.
He did not give it away. The umpires were fucking shitheads on this one. So the ball's going out of bounds on the full. He goes to stop it with his foot. It doesn't balloon up into the crowd. It trickles away a little bit, but apparently that was enough to give away a 50-metre penalty. I don't get it with these umpires. But hey, we can't criticise them because we'll get fined.
Yes, we don't want to get fined.
Noah Cumberland, 2 handballs. I think they were both turnovers, 2 free kicks against and 50-metre penalty. So minus 12 Supercoach points. Positives for West Coast. Oscar Allen kicking 4 goals. He's slowly putting together a nice season. First season back.
He's building. Yeah.
Jermaine Jones, 30 disposals off half-back at 80%. Won't be all Australian, but trying to find the positive for West Coast. Jai Cully confirmed ACL. It just shows that good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people. He was putting together a nice season. He was due for a contract extension, and then he does his knee. Not happy. That's all.
They can't catch a break.
They genuinely cannot. Like in terms of like Like, yeah, but we've put this out there before. They've had mass injuries the last 3 years now running. Is that something to say about the players you have, or and they're just injury prone players, or is it to say something about the fitness and conditioning as well at the club? Like, mate, Nath, you probably have a bit more to say. Actually, Mace, you probably, because you've been playing football, like you probably have a bit more to say about it as well.
It's a bit of both, I reckon, to be honest. The team has pretty much gone to shit since the bubble. And that, I think, affected them mentally more than anything. Because at that time, West Coast is a big family team. Like, at that time, I think 6-7 players had just had, like, kids. So, like, they were all young families. So, like, maybe 2-3-year-olds amongst them. So, being away from the families would have gotten into the players' heads. But then, from then on, yes, we've seen, minor muscle injuries, and then, like, the freak high-impact injuries you can't blame on fitness.
I was going to say, that game against Freo, you can't. That's just very
that was just freak. That is like, if anything, like, they've got to check and see who's smashed some mirrors or who's been walking under ladders, because they took our curse. Like, we were injured with half the team out for like 4 years, and now the roles are reversed. I don't know if Bell's done some magic ritual dance or something, something in the water. I don't know. I can't tell you, but something has to be looked into this, because the amount of injuries they've had is ridiculous. And how are you supposed to rebuild a team when your senior players are the ones that are going down because the bodies are falling apart?
Well, where are your senior players? Like, you just don't have, like, you've got no one around because here's the way it works when you go through an injury. You've then got to go through the rehab and everything, so you're away from the main group. So you're not being able to mentor the players as you should be able to. So at the moment, a lot of these kids are pretty much going through what I reckon Carlton, North Melbourne. Again, it's those players we talked about, lists we talked about that getting cut deep. Hawthorn's probably another. Hawthorn probably did a little bit better, but still, they've cut it deep this year. It's those lists that we're talking about where now they're going to have to go through it without even meaning to have to go through it, because realistically, they had the players around them that should be able to guide some of those players into the future. But at the moment, they're all in rehab. They're all rehabbing injuries, and they're not able to get themselves out on the track to actually be able to mentor these kids. So it's a real issue for them, because they're not a list that's cut themselves deep, but they may as well be a list that's cut themselves deep. So
you're looking at like nearly 4 to 6 retirements within the next couple of years with them. All right, what do we got? Hearn,
Nick Nat,
Shuey, McGovern.
And McGovern's going to extend, I think, for another 2 years.
You're joking.
That's what they're saying. Like, that injury has put it on hold a bit, but it's either he stays. It depends on how long it is. I don't think he's going elsewhere.
Yo's only 26, I think, around that.
Who's that, sorry?
If not a little bit, Elliot Yo.
Late 20s, I think.
Yeah, I think he's 26, 27. But so he's picked up so many light muscle injuries. Jesus, can't even string a sentence. So like all of the better older players are just absolutely cooked body-wise. And what was it last year? Half the team came back unfit. Like, he saw freaking Kane Corn's fat shame and Elliot Yo. But yeah, it's questions need to be asked, and I think they have gotten a new fitness team this year. I think they did fire the old. No, okay.
No. I was going to say it's just the same, regardless of it. I'm not sure about their strength and conditioning or the fitness department. It's just the same shit each year. So something is definitely going on. I don't think it's not a training service issue. It's not anything unlucky. It's just, there needs to be something to be looked at. Like all these great veteran talents and Jack Darling getting injured or,
And Jack
going, it's just, sorry, JD just took the words right out of my mouth. So,
yeah. But I mean, it is also something you've said. It's the win Richmond probably needed to have.
No shit.
They've needed to have a win for a while, but it's the win they needed to have. Getting rolled in this game would have had major question marks over the Tigers, and realistically, up until midway through the third, it was very much so a possibility. So they're still not out of the woods at all. Especially when you got a waffle team basically well and truly in the game, up until midway through the third. So. Still some worries for Richmond, but again, celebrate this week. Do it like I did last week. Be happy with the win, and then move on to next week. And you've got to face one of the premiers of the competition in Geelong. So have fun.
To get the shit taste out of Richmond v West Coast, watch the final quarter between Geelong and Adelaide because that was intense. Good back and forth kamikaze style footy, and good to see Adelaide take it to Geelong. Usually they kick themselves out of the game, Adelaide, but this was just Geelong nullifying Adelaide's forward line. But it was Geelong by 26 points. Adelaide still haven't won at Geelong since 2003, and Geelong have now won 5 in a row, just like Brisbane. In sixth spot, Adelaide just fall outside the top 8 after 8 rounds. Jeremy Cameron still doing Jeremy Cameron things, kicking 3 goals, but the big talking point was... Big talking point, though, was Dangerfield's hamstring. You don't like it when, the commentators say they're subbed off with head. I don't like it when the clubs say they're out for the short term or out for the mid-term. Just put a fucking time frame on this, and give your fans some clarity. They've deemed Dangerfield short term. I don't like that because when they go, they're a couple of weeks out, and then they assess again. They go, I know Collingwood did this once with Howe a couple of years ago when Jeremy Howe was a couple of weeks away. Reassessed it. He's 2 months away now. Well, thanks for the fucking clarity on that. So, but I don't think Dangerfield's going to be out for too long. They've got a bye round in a month's time. I wouldn't be surprised if he's out for a month, given he's 33 years old.
Yeah,
he's got bigger.
He seemed pretty positive as well during the interview. If you watch that with him post game, he seemed pretty upbeat about it. So. I wouldn't look too far into it. I think he'll be fine, especially considering he came back pretty strong from an injury last year. Yeah, he usually comes back pretty strong from injuries. It's just hoping he doesn't consistently do them. But yeah, he and the way he described it is it was just a little bit of tightness. So whether he said it was probably on the lower end. He probably had more clarity than the rest of the clubs when he did his little interview. So. Yeah, but sucks to see Danger go out. He was starting to really hit some nice form.
Just pretty much on Dangerfield's injury, I reckon he'll bounce back. Man's a professional through and through. He'll do all the right things and come back firing as soon as possible. As you boys talked on there before, that he knew more about his injury than the club probably did. And he's probably the one that's pulled himself off as well.
Yeah, he pulled himself off. That fucking sounded weird. He pulled himself off.
Yeah, I was going to say, boys, you talk about him pulling himself off, and I'm just a bit thrown off here,
Pulled himself off the field. There we go.
You know what's even funnier? I love this right now. I hope you can see this. Nate's got this little creepy little smile that he's got going on over here. And it's right after we're talking about pulling someone off. That is not good, Nate. That is an awful time for it to stop, mate. And I hope you leave every second of this in because you and your creepy little smile after somebody just went talk about somebody getting pulled off. That's ridiculous, mate.
That's a brain sticker for me.
That's a fine for Nate if I've ever seen one. You don't drop out of the podcast right at the wrong time with that sort of look. You just got the reaming of all time because we were talking about pulling someone off, and then your thing is just frozen perfectly on this
Okay.
creepy little smile.
I had a fucking good wank about that one. Pulled myself off on that one.
I was going to say, I hope you leave every little second of that in because that is hilarious. We were just saying that, I mean, Mace was trying to work out what he was doing during this game because he had no idea. I was just about to say, I had a brilliant Saturday. Once I sort of got back, I think I got back at halftime of the first game. I just parked myself on the couch and just enjoyed Super Saturday all the way through. So, as Nate said, the game before really left a bad taste in your mouth, and then this one just washed it away. So you're like, that's okay. I can handle this.
I think I might have just been so disgusted and like put to sleep by Richmond versus West Coast, and I just was like, I think I'm going to play 2K for a bit. I honestly don't know.
Well, you would have come back. I mean, after that, I'm sure you would have come back because, I mean, the Suns versus Melbourne game was probably one of the weirdly intense games I've ever watched. The Suns, again, I'm talking about these little expansion teams at the moment. I'm loving watching GWS and Gold Coast at the moment. Those two clubs are just putting on some absolute ripper games at the moment. They're just fun. They're fun to watch. But 13-7-85 played 13-12-90. The Suns just go down to Melbourne in quite possibly one of the best games of the round. The Suns, were well led by Anderson and Rao. Rao was the bull in the china shop. Anderson was just the clean silk coming through the midfield. Witts was dominating in the middle. They had some absolutely awesome moments throughout this game. They really got themselves back into it, but just fell short of Melbourne, who realistically, probably probably may have been expecting a little bit of a fight, but not that much of a fight. Going up to no longer Metricon, because you said we can't say Metricon anymore.
Oh, we're going to get fucking
Well,
sued.
not?
The Sperm Bank Stadium.
The Sperm Bank Stadium. Is that
I'm not calling it Heritage Bank Stadium.
We'll call it the Sperm Bank Stadium. But yes.
I'm calling it the Sperm Bank Stadium.
The Sperm Bank Stadium, so they at least they're turning that place into a little bit of a fortress. You're going to have to battle when you're up there. I think they've already got Geelong as a scalp up there. They almost scalped Melbourne up there. God, like I said, I just love watching the Suns at the moment, but Melbourne just doing Melbourne things as usual and just find a way to win. Suns had a bit of a problem where every time they sort of got close, then they'd sort of kick a few points and it feel like they just sort of get themselves out of it until the last sort of second where it looked like they were actually going to get in front. But yeah, just there's a few players in their team that they've got that are absolutely crucial to what their DNA is. But yeah, definitely think it's worth mentioning the game that Mr. Anderson had.
Asshole. I mean, Anderson.
Deep cut impact reference there.
God, I forgot about that, man. Jeez.
So did Randy Orton.
Oh. Ooh. Ouchies.
All right, let's get into Saturday night games. Canberra. GWS for the Dogs. For some reason, GWS don't like playing in Canberra. They've got a losing streak going on there. That continued. The Dogs holding on to win by 15 points, 13-8-86 to 10-11-71. It better be 10 goals 11 or 9-17. This was the Bont v T Green show. Tom Green, not Toby Green. Toby Green was laid out. Bont and Pelly, what more can you say? 32 disposals, 14 clearances. Club record. Jackson McRae had a club record 14 clearances 2 weeks ago. Bont joining in the fun there. 7 tackles and a goal. Bont is ranked 3rd in the league for tackles. For a pure midfielder, that is just magnificent. He's leading the Brownlow count. I'm sorry.
Yeah, easy.
Has to be.
Yeah, and Tom Green, 38 disposals, 8 clearances, 8 tackles, 3 goals. 2 and 3 votes right there. Probably Tim English gets the 1 vote as well. But it's the Dogs hanging on by 15 points. They go 5-3 in the season. They go to 7th spot. Giants, They've trailed at 3/4 time in every game so far this season. They almost pulled off the comeback. Speaking of pulling off, but Dogs with Aaron Norton kicking 2 late goals to ice the game.
Stop pulling everyone off.
Aaron Norton kicking 2 goals to ice the game. Giants plus 48 in disposals, and they also led the inside 50s. They just couldn't convert or hit the scoreboard like they should have.
I have a question, boys. How was the lobster watch? How did the big bleached arsehole go?
So I was on Lobster Watch early on. He wasn't too bad. I mean, Lobster's just contributing in their forward line. He's another big body in there that they sort of needed. And he's pinch hitting in the ruck as well. So that's something that they've always required is a pinch hitter, especially for Timmy English. But Timmy English, he's putting together one hell of a season. That's another one to come back to at some point. But yeah, Lob Watch, was serviceable. I think he ended up with 3 goals from memory, if not 2, which he kicked early. But yeah, this game was more about realistically about Bontempelli. He just controlled this game from the start. There was not much he couldn't do. Although I think it was AJ down the Doggies forward line. Is it Arthur Jones, I believe it is.
Arthur, yep.
Arthur Jones. He was having a bit of he's starting to look the goods. Definitely a player they need to persist with. Again, it's one of those games that was won and lost in the middle. Tim English had a dominating. He's been dominant all year. There's no point in just saying he was dominant today, like on Saturday night. He was dominant. He's been dominant all year. He just continued on his great form, and he's someone that if you want to stop the Bulldogs at this point, you've got to find a way to stop him. He's starting to almost be that Brodie Grundy a few years ago, where he not only gets you as a ruckman, but he also gets you as a midfielder. So, definitely somebody that I think somebody that we need to look at, like bringing a Tom de Koning in against. You need an athletic ruckman to take him on. He's a special talent, and he's finally come into his own this year. And like we were sort of saying before, with Lob there as the pinch hitter, it's actually come together quite nicely for them.
Gives them room. Yeah.
And you're right too, JD. Like their first 2 games, like we could just pick that apart, criticize them for days. They're looking the goods, and they've got a decent draw as well up until their bye round to get themselves in the top 6 and maybe even push for top 4.
I'm still not on board. I'm still not on board with the Dogs.
I'm the same. Yeah, I'm the same as well. I still think they're going to remain in that 5 to 8 range if they're going to play finals again. Like they could probably finish 7th and make another run for it. Yeah, I just don't see them getting into top 4.
I have the Dogs a bit probably rating them a little bit better than you guys, but that's also I don't know. I always have a soft spot for the Dogs, so I think it's a bit unfair almost because I don't know. I fell in love with this team years ago when they won the flag, and I think it's because I was going to uni at the time when like a lot of their flag and rise started to happen. So it was just fun being around Footscray at the time. So I always believe in it. I mean, I know, right? Weird. Hey, actually, I got a quick question for you about Footscray. Is the Jam Donut stand next to Footscray Station anymore?
No.
Yeah.
No. There's no. There's no Jam Donuts. No.
Shut up, Maso, you dirty Perth boy.
It's just a fucking random coffee store now.
Hey, we're also almost on our countdown to WA. Speaking of WA,
we're talking about pulling ourselves off and dicks and all that. It's Freo with a 69-point win.
Hey,
very
nice. I'm pretty sure the Port Adelaide versus Essendon game came first, but anyway, we'll get into it. Still not happy with the clearances.
Wait, is he saying a game that was on Sunday? It was before the game on Saturday night?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
I don't know what planet I'm on, all right? You're just going to have to deal with it. Well, Dockers, I mean, I didn't watch this game. I'll put the score. You already put the score out. You guys will probably have to go into it a bit more because I have not watched a second of this game. I don't know. Where do I start? It was good as a Freo fan, but as a football fan, I don't know. It's up to
Ooh.
you.
Oh,
5-minute warning. I just
Oh,
realised it's a
yeah.
Freo in Collingwood.
No, fair enough for this week. But Freo, there's not really much to, for me at least.
Yeah.
I know Maso may have a few things on it.
Pretty much the only thing we can take away from that is a confidence booster. The main positives for Hawthorn that I noticed was Warple was just destroying us in the midfield. Anytime the ball was coming out, it was due to him, which is still an issue. It looks like as soon as the opposition players, doesn't matter what team, gets it, they just are so easily able to get out of the midfield and get a clearance off. And I can't figure out why.
I think I know what it was. Sorry to cut you off. That's Lloyd Meek.
No, it's okay.
Lloyd Meek knew how to play Sean Darcy. And you could
He
see
did.
it too. Like he knew
Yeah.
when to jump. He knew where to hit. He knew Freo's midfield. I think it was like 12-2 in clearances halfway through the second quarter, Hawthorn's way. That was weird. Yeah, even the commentators were saying this is a little bit ridiculous. Hawthorn's destroying Freo in the clearances. It's just they're not able to convert. But that was Lloyd Meek. Lloyd Meek played his best game ever. And of course it happened against Freo.
No hard feelings towards the Meekster. I think there was even times during the game when I was like, yeah, go Meek, yeah.
Mickey baby.
He sat
Mickey
Erasmus
boy.
on his ass at the end.
I missed that. I don't like that, but so I'm glad I missed that.
No, Erasmus was hard as nails in this game. It was just Meek put him on his ass at the end just to tell him, hey, you're a good youngster. You're not that good. That's what it was.
He'll be there. But the positives we can take out of this is Erasmus. Great game for him. Jackson's best game, easily. Possibly of his career. Questionable.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
questionable.
not a big connoisseur of Luke Jackson games, so.
Best game for Jaeger.
Yep.
I'd say. Bayshore looks back on track. But, we don't know because it was Hawthorn. I don't know how much I can take from this.
I was going to say as well, it may have been Banfield's best game as well.
Oh, he always shows up in the Starlight games.
I've never seen him kick so well. His forward 50 entries were great. And we've got to bring this up, boys. The Coleman medal race is wide open. Nat 5, kick the goal.
Whew. He's on track. He's on track for 100, if you ask me. But you know what's funny? I think just from something from last week, I think we may have jinxed Hawthorn a little bit. We called them the Hawthorn headache, and they were barely I tell you what, Freo must have taken some Panadol nice and early in the game because they were barely a thorn in the side of Freo for most of the game.
I mean, I know who fucking needs Panadol today. Lockie Schultz. Jesus.
Oh, Mike. How many times did it land on his shoulder?
How many times did they beat the crap out of him?
When he went to take a mark, when he went to lay a tackle, it was, ugh.
Yeah, he just looked rough. Like, the amount of times I saw the man keeled over like this, just trying to get life back into his body. I thought he was coming at least 6 different times. I don't know if it showed on TV as much, but any time I'd see him, he just looked sore and out of breath. Poor bastard, I hope he had a super long ice bath.
Oh, he would have been neck deep with the shoulders, and that would have been even worse. And it was freezing in Perth. It was raining in Perth. It was raining in Canberra. It was it's been raining in fucking Melbourne for days.
Raining in Melbourne. It was raining in SA. I looked it up at the time. It was the only place it wasn't raining in the country was Queensland.
But it was dewy.
But it was dewy as all hell. So I don't know what to take from this country sometimes. It's just raining. It's at that time of year, though, where the entire world's raining. Everywhere across the globe is, it's spring in some places. It's autumn in some places. And it's
Hold on a second then, boys. What the fuck is that? Why is there a Carlton symbol here?
You boys have just recognised this?
Probably because I'm a sad sack and need some love.
Yeah. But the background is Adam Sandler talking to the Swan.
God
Shut up,
damn,
Swan.
us and our bloody AWO journeyman Instagram that's becoming AWO Collingwood.
No, it's all right. I will not post about Collingwood for a week.
It's a
Do
week.
it
I
again.
like that we just put bans on each other for little things. But I tell you
Come on.
what, you guys hit that 5-minute warning beautifully. You hit 5 minutes, no worries. Talk about inaccuracy this game.
Yeah.
12-20-92 for Port. Just pips out 13-9-87. Essendon, who looked like they weren't going to miss for most of this game.
Oh,
They were on. They were early, but that's the problem. As soon as you start to get miss, it usually just flows on. And so that's what sort of happened for them. As soon as one missed, a few more just started flowing through the points. But when they were kicking straight, I tell you what, it looked like everything was going to go through the big sticks. Unlike at the other end, where it just looked like everything was going to go through for a point. It looked like Port Adelaide couldn't buy a goal at times. They were just getting absolutely... They were destroying themselves. I've never seen a game where it's been decided by 5 points and it's felt like a team's been pumped for 4 quarters. Because it really... To me, it felt like Essendon were pumped. But they were dominated around the contest. They were just dominated across the board. Yet they still, because, like we said, because of their accuracy and Port's inaccuracy, were able to keep themselves in it and actually find themselves up at a majority of this game. So, you can't really take anything away from Essendon. They did what they had to do. They just took their opportunities and, made Port really have to work to get that victory over them real late in the game. Finlayson, I was going to call him Mr. Clutch. I think he's still just off because he had a very off game. This one, I think he kicked 1 goal 4 or 1 goal 3. But that 1 goal was deep in the last quarter. But he also had another chance to really seal the game and just sort of followed suit with the rest of the Port Adelaide goal kickers and just put it through for another behind. So they, like I said, Essendon had every chance to win this. It was certainly draw watch for majority of that final quarter. You called it midway through the third, I think. You said, I'm going early on this, but I tell you what, you were 100% on because that was almost another game where we were going to have 2 more teams join the draw club. So, what are your thoughts on this one?
It was Andrew Phillips broke my heart. When he kicked it, I could hear, there goes my hero. And it fell just short. But I didn't expect Phillips to kick that. It was the fucking angle. Fox Footy knew what they were doing. Port Adelaide, plus 18 inside 50s, plus 28 marks. They dominated that third quarter. That was like their third quarter against Brisbane, except their inaccuracy just kept them in it. Yeah. Port Adelaide, they love a scrap. They love a close contest. Something about you got Melbourne who love fourth quarters. Collingwood are the comeback kings. Port Adelaide love a scrap. It's a bit of an interesting top 6 at the moment. Port Adelaide included. Port Adelaide they deserve to be included in that. They've beaten teams like Sydney and St Kilda in close contests. Essendon as well. Those little 8-point games. Port Adelaide have North though. At bloody Tasmania. So whoever booked that, but. Jason Horne-Francis against his old side in bloody Tasmania. Good atmosphere for that one, unfortunately. Brandon Zerk-Thatcher, got to give respect to him a little bit. He kept Charlie Dixon to a couple of goals. Could have been a lot worse.
Banged up Charlie Dixon.
Yeah, banged up Charlie Dixon, but Dixon was imposing himself in the contest again. Zerk-Thatcher, good little response given the 8 goals against Hawkins. I don't think he's not a lockdown defender. He's an intercepting defender. Laverde plays that lockdown role. He's not playing. Ridley plays that intercepting role, but unfortunately, he's going to be out.
That sort of destroyed. Just to quickly, but that sort of destroyed their structure a little bit coming into that third quarter. Was no Ridley. They had a bit more of a structure with him in there. As soon as he went out, it really did throw things up in the air a little bit, and that's when Port Adelaide took that little bit of advantage in the third. Like you said, though, just couldn't put him away.
Draper, he's an almost player. He can kick a free 100%. Goal. He's so close to becoming the Gawn type of ruckman where he can single-handedly destroy opponents. He's getting to that stage.
Here's a quick question for you. How long did it take him, Gawn, to become that sort of player? How many years?
Yeah.
How many years did it take Tim English? Sam Draper's only been in for a few years now. I still reckon give him that 1-2 more years and he will be that player that you are looking for.
Yeah.
Pretty much ask my question with more information.
I got you.
Again, in our audit, we talked about how we don't cover Essendon enough. I want to bring this up with Essendon. What I've noticed is, for some reason, it's a bit of an annoyance, but they're very good at when they're about to get tackled, they know when to give it off. They know when to support each other. It's interesting. They can. We're talking about fucking pulling off and dicks and 69s and nice and all that. They can suck in an opponent. That's what they can do.
God, we are on fire today.
But it's also good after 8 rounds. Not once have I gone, you know what? Essendon's intensity, Essendon's defensive pressure is off. We were saying that, so we would, if we were doing the podcast last year, we'd be talking about Essendon so many times about how their defensive structure and their effort is just gone. You can't say that this year for Essendon. They're 4-4, they're outside the 8, but they get a tick from me a third of the way into the season for their defensive pressure. The close games they're losing, a bit unfortunate. That's a Brad Scott trait, though. Not sure he's ever going to get over that. But they got Brisbane at the Gabba next week. Now, granted, they beat them there last year, but I don't think they can do it this year, especially with Ridley out, Laverde out, and you've got to face Danaher, Hipwood, and Gunston. Unless Brisbane have an off night, I can't see Essendon stepping up in this one. And Port, again, they've got North. Port's got a great chance to have 6 wins in a row, and depending on the results, could find themselves in the top 4 at the end of round 9.
I'm almost at the point where and I know it's hard to call this, but I always want to call Port the real deal. I'm going to give it a few more weeks, but the way they've been playing and the football they've been playing this year is a really good brand of football. I think they're at the stage where they've got a really good blend of young, old, and even that middle range players. I think they're the perfect blend at the moment. I think Kenny's actually pulling out a few different tricks this year that, which for somebody who's been there for 10 years, it's absolutely brilliant to see him do. Shows that Kenny is still a very good coach. And I don't think anyone really doubted Ken Hinkley. I think Ken Hinkley is a coach that I think a lot of us would agree that at the right club would have already been a premiership coach by now. That's not shitting on Port Adelaide. It's just more the fact that they've had their opportunities and unfortunately fallen short. But, he realistically should be a premiership coach. And I think it's funny how everyone's talking like he has to win a prelim this year to keep his job. It sort of looks like the players are absolutely trying their hardest to at least get him that opportunity. So, Port Adelaide are, like I said, a serious watch. I love saying this, but a serious watch this space. They still could be anything this year, and I still think they're one of the best teams to watch this year in terms of just entertainment factor. Horn Francis, though, again, what another great fourth quarter from him. The boos, I mean, it was good. The Essendon fans didn't even boo. I know it's weird that they were telling him not to boo before the game. I'm sort of glad they listened, though. If that's where we're at with stopping players being booed, at least it worked. But yeah, definitely think that someone like a Jason Horne-Francis, he's now becoming a bit of a fourth. We've sort of spoken about a few fourth quarter specialists. I think we could do a little video on it somewhere down the line with some of these fourth quarter specialists, and I definitely think he's starting to put himself up in that list of people who just show up. He's starting to not single-handedly yet, but he's starting to single-handedly get them over the line himself, and only at 19. Like I said to you weeks ago, I still don't understand why this kid's getting booed. He's an absolute gun.
5 minute warning. Pies got up by 29 points Sunday afternoon MCG. Another fourth quarter surge, 71,463 at the MCG. Not bad for
not bad at all.
Not bad. It was freezing Sunday afternoon.
I'll just quickly butt in. There was I went into the city for a show last night, and there was plenty of people walking around in Collingwood and Sydney gear. Certainly a lot more Sydney walking around when I got in because it was near the end of the game and not the end of the game yet.
Just a weird game when Pies win by 29 points, yet Sydney destroyed Collingwood in disposals and marks. But 1 goal, 9 set shots. That's like JD put the arrow on goal kicking one round. This would have been the bomb on Hiroshima with Sydney. That's how.
Don't worry.
That's how bad it was, and the on the Fools as well.
Well, you know how I feel about bad, and you said it perfectly in the group chat. Bad kicking is bad footy, and you're 100% right in that sense. And at the moment, when teams are coming out and having bad goal kicking games, like Port were absolutely lucky to get over the line against Essendon. But it seems to be when you come out and have a bad goal kicking performance, teams are making you pay for it now because a lot of teams are starting to find their accuracy this year. So Sydney absolutely deserved deserved what they got in the end with a 1 goal 9 set shot ratio. So like you said, Hiroshima was going off in my head, mate.
It got me a bit rolled up. These weren't just tough set shots. These were set shots that they would convert all the time. It's just very fortunate as a Pies fan to get over the line here. And also, major props, Brody fucking Myercheck. 12 times he kicked 4 goals in a game, but he was able to kick 5. Took until the very end, the last kick of the game, to do it. And it also took one of the goals of the year to get there. Look at self.
Amazing.
Took away to go his goal, but that goal umpire that reviewed that, not his best.
What a peanut.
So many score reviews came from that goal umpire. They weren't even tough ones.
That score review.
He was out of position a lot of those goals. We talk about the Buddy problem with Sydney kicking it to him, but we have to talk about the Buddy thing for the booing. We at the AWO Journeyman do not condone the booing of Buddy Franklin. And Collingwood fans need to do better. I don't know why we're booing Buddy Franklin. Second time we've kept Buddy goalless in his career. I guess that may have contributed to the booing, given he plays so fucking good against us. It's Collingwood and Essendon he plays well against.
Sorry, Maso, you go. Sorry.
The only time he should get booed is when he's elbowed somebody in the face. Like, I don't like what. Yeah, as you guys are going on, like, what's with all this booing? Like, unless you've done something dirty in the game, it doesn't need to be there.
Now, I follow most of the clubs on Twitter, and that includes Collingwood. And somebody, basically, Collingwood put out a statement. It was Darcy Moore, Craig McRae, and I think your CEO or president. And basically just not condoning it. The comments on that, now I know Twitter's awful. Twitter's awful no matter what you're looking into. But I tell you what, when it comes to some of the comments on there, a lot of it came down to, and I want your opinion on this, Nate, because this is what your fans are making up as an excuse for the booing. It's can Sydney put out a statement for going after Dacos, because they absolutely should put out a statement for going after Dacos. That's why we booed Franklin. He was a part of that. And I was like, okay, why didn't you boo every player that was in that fracard then? So the logic behind that statement is pretty flawed. I don't know. What do you think about that, Nate?
I'm going to read some comments. A good little live reaction. I'll tell you why he was booed. He was part of the clan that targeted the attack on Nick Dacos after Nick's opponent scored the first goal. I'm not sure why John Longby was so bemused to highlight the matter like he was shocked. Play fair and you'll get respect. Simple. Oh, fuck me. Oh, Buddy Franklin's crime is kicking 1,000+ goals in his career. I will be awaiting the apology from the Sydney Swans for targeting a 19-year-old boy who just wants to play footy for his club.
Who's also was also up there potentially leading the Brownlow and single-handedly tearing clubs apart.
Unbelievable.
Did somebody actually use the word clan?
Yeah, I heard the word clan as well.
It was like MLG pros. Like what? Like a World of Warcraft clan? Like what the fuck are you talking about?
Okay,
Well-
okay, Collingwood. Why don't you come out with 50+ statements for the rest of the year then? Face
Yeah.
palm emoji.
Some of the fans' excuses, it's absolutely ridiculous. We're going to exceed the 5-minute warning on Collingwood. What do you got? Hit me with this one.
Where's Sydney Swans' apology for their fans booing an injured Jack Niven last year? Or an apology from the coach for instructing his players to physically assault Nick Dacos? Love
What
Collingwood,
the
love Collingwood, but this has gone too far. Grow a spine.
Jesus.
And I'll finish on this one. You're turning the club into a virtue signaling laughing stock. Get off your high horse and stop thinking that you speak for us on every social media platform. Stay in your lane. You're supposed to be a footy club, not a social justice charity. We'll cheer and boo whoever we like. Thank you. All right. I don't want to. Let's talk about Sydney now. They've lost 5 of the last 6.
Yeah.
They're 3-5. I think top 4's gone for Sydney.
God.
Now they've had a tough, first 8 rounds, but given this season and what it's looking like, it's going to probably look like 16 wins and 7 losses, or 15 and 8 will get you top 4. To be 3-5, you're going to have to go on a massive win streak. Have results go your way. And they've also got some tough ones coming up. They've got to play Geelong again. It's also at home. They've got to play Gold Coast in Sydney. Now, for some reason, Gold Coast love playing Sydney and Sydney. And obviously, they've got another game at the MCG, which I do want to bring up because if they want to rest Buddy, then Buddy may have very well played his last ever game at the MCG. But they've got to play Richmond at the MCG. I think after the bye rounds, the floating fixture. They got Freo. It's Sydney next week. They got Freo again at Optus, so a tricky double up there. I think this, again, it's been 28 years since a side who got smashed in the grand final came out and responded well and made a grand final, or at least won a final the next year. There is a thing where if you get smashed in the grand final, it does something to your psyche, and that's what's happening. No one at Sydney can say they've had a better year this year compared to last season. Who can say confidently that they've had a better year now than they did last year?
Have they tried playing Geelong's theme song in the training camp?
Oh my God, amazing. Anyone else missed his quips for weeks on end? Oh, Jesus.
We love you, Maso. We do.
Oh,
we love you, Maso. We do. Oh, Maso, we love you.
Give me some claps for that one. Hey, do we have to talk about the next game?
No, I don't want to.
Horrible. Terrible.
Minus 4 stars.
I was like,
I think you blew out your mic.
Watch it. I knew it would be bad. Like, who needs freaking sleeping tablets, man? Just, crack open a cold one, get your feet up, chuck that on, and you'll be out in 10 minutes. At
what point of the game did North Melbourne score a goal?
Early third quarter.
You're joking.
Something else.
Yeah. I saw that North Melbourne kept goalless in the first half of the game for the first time in 44 years.
Wow.
So, honeymoon period is over then, Clarko.
Yep. Pretty much.
What
they're looking. We discussed this last week, where effort is something that you should be. A team like that should be able to bring to every game, right? You're allowed to falter every now and again when it comes to the effort, but they're not bringing it. Like this happened to them in previous years. They're just not bringing any effort again. They're just showing up, getting whooped, and leaving.
I can't believe this is a fucking positive, but there was more effort here than there was last week. But that's not saying anything, unfortunately. This was under a roof. This was under a roof. Yeah, combined score 12 goals, 26, 98. Every player should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah, compare to Friday night, which is also at Marvel Stadium, a combined 174 points.
Yeah.
It's the perfect ground. Like, it's funny. I walked out of Marvel on Friday and went, oh, it's raining. Because you always forget when you're inside that it's usually bucketing. Like, in the middle of winter, it's usually bucketing down outside. So, I just sat there and was like, oh yeah, shit, forgot about this. I was
Oh.
warned about this game,
Hey,
so
hey, you had an Instagram post and you messaged me directly. Should I watch this game? No.
Yeah. So I was literally like, because again, we like to take notes, we like to watch all the games to be able to have opinion. I didn't even bother to watch the mini of this because of the way it was described to me. So I've just gone off of Instagram posts and everything like that. And I tell you what, from what I gathered, nobody's happy.
I blame Ross Lyon.
I mean, you're not wrong though. Like this type of scoring, like these games are back, and it's all down to Ross Lyon being back as a coach.
Yeah, but I'm not even joking this time. I blame Ross Lyon and Griffin Logue. We'll chuck him under the bus as well.
He's blaming Moneybags.
Blame Moneybags.
Yeah,
his effort wasn't there.
Trucker wasn't driving the midfield either. I don't think he was even playing.
I don't think they dropped him
as well.
He's blaming Griffin Logue for a shit.
You're broken, Nate.
If you're 15 minutes late to work, fucking Griffin Logue, man.
Yeah.
That's what it's like.
Yeah, actually, damn it, Logie. That's what we'll start saying.
Oh, they did swing him down forward in that final quarter. He might be a bit lost. Like he's actually, he's on those big stacks. But what can you do with him?
Get him back in the weights room.
He's pretty much playing the same way that he was with Freo last year. Like if you're gonna move him down forward,
he's just on more money to do it.
I guess the funniest thing in this game was Jai Simpkin ripped the GPS out of Filippo's jumper and threw it away.
I love that shit. I mean, as a fan of hockey, I've seen some of the that's where you see some of the greatest shit ever. So there's a clip going around from the playoffs of somebody stealing someone's stick, and he skates off with it to go to the bench, and then the guy, of course, can't come onto their bench, and then he just smashes it in front of him. The other one I watched is somebody who
what was he thinking?
It's brilliant, isn't it? Some of the funniest shit.
Like, was he just like, nah, screw you, you can't have your fitness stats. Nah. And then just yeet his freaking GPS.
Hey, now,
freaking thing.
Volunteering at a club, volunteering at the VFL, if your GPS gets destroyed, you actually have to get an invoice for it. So, Jai Simpkin may need to owe St.Kilda some money for that one.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, that is the round that was. Shall we get into some seggies, boys? Some segments? I'm excited.
I don't even know where to begin. There's so many things to touch over. We'll just cover umpires in general. So we had the Melbourne player JVR getting suspended for trying to spoil a ball. We've got the score review guy that goes to the Weenie Hut Junior when he couldn't see that Myercheck freaking kicked the goal. And it's just like, why can't we criticize them? Is it because that nobody actually wants to be an umpire because you've got Karens at the local level football that are just screeching at them, and so they quit? And so now we've only got 20 freaking umpires to choose from, and they know it, or are they just incompetent? I don't get it anymore. The amount of times that calls are missed and shit just goes wrong, but we're not allowed to get angry or upset at it. It's like it's a hindrance on the game, and what can we do with this? It's gone on for too long, and it feels like it's getting worse each year. I don't know if that's just me or if that's the general consensus.
I agree on that one.
But do they feel like the EPL referees where they can't be touched? Something needs to change. Yeah, it's getting to the point where I don't want to watch football as much because a shit goal will decide a game, or shitty goals will turn momentum in the side of the opposition team, and then the game will be lost because of that. And it's just all these little issues that are just building, and I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it. And yeah, they all go to Weenie Hut Juniors. Screw all of them.
Maso is back.
The worst freaking bow and arrow ever, Hound.
I'm back, and I'm better than ever.
Oh God, Eric Bischoff.
Welcome back,
It's
Maso.
still such a tune.
Let's go break some hearts.
Hey, Arthur Jones.
Hey!
Hey, Arthur Jones. Pick 43, 2021 draft from Mount Barker in Western Australia. 4-hour drive south of Perth. Soaking wet, 50 kilos. Kicked 2 goals against the Giants. He's played 6 games so far. Only 3 goals, but he's got a 5-1 record. He is the Dogs' lucky charm right now. 15,000 followers on Instagram. Hey, Arthur Jones. Welcome to the Boys Club Award.
I may go for a drive to Mount Barker.
Don't forget, you got called out as well for not clapping.
No, he's clapping.
What? Who? Wait, I was
Called
clapping.
you out last week. I called you out.
You remember this, pal? You're a boy in a man's world.
You know how I love to do it. Nate, anyone want to have a guess at who? Get into my psyche and see if they can guess who I might have in the boys' club this week or in the Hall of Fame this week.
Clancy Pearce.
Nah, too many
Clancy
games.
Pearce.
Ineligible.
Just chuck him in anyway.
Clancy Pearce Jr. maybe? Yes. But first hint I'm going to say, is he from Victoria?
He is.
All right. Don't want to say Carlton. I'm going to go Geelong.
He is.
Geelong. Mid-2000s.
He is.
Does his first name remind me of a wrestler?
It would. It would.
Don't tell me it's Kane Tenace.
No, it's not.
Oh.
It's not. No.
I was going to say,
thought-
all these players, if that was him.
No, you want to? I thought you, and you will laugh at who the player, the wrestler I thought you were thinking of, but I'm invoking my special wing nominee. You boys have known I've been speaking about him since the start of the year. He's the reason why the special wing exists. My boy, the Hall of Famer, Nathan Ablett.
Fair enough.
So, Nathan Ablett was drafted 49th overall as a father-son in the 2004 National Draft. He's a 200-centimetre forward, and he played 32 games for Geelong. He debuted in mid-2005 with a Rising Star nom coming later in the year in 2005.
Coming.
2007, he cemented his spot in the side. And in the end of the 2007 season, now this is where normally he wouldn't be allowed in, but he won a flag, kicking 3 goals in the Geelong, the history-making Geelong Grand Final in 2007. Now, here's where it gets interesting. End of the season, Nathan Ablett loses his passion, and he decides that he wants to take a year off of football. So for the 2008 season, he took off most of the year, but he ended up coming back late in the year and played a few games in the VFL. 2009, he ended up retiring to be a plumber.
What?
Which, yeah, I was going to say, retired to be a plumber for a few years, and then was coaxed back into the AFL by the inaugural 2010 Suns team, and he made his Suns return in 2011.
He played for the Suns?
He played for the Suns in their inaugural season.
Alongside Seb Tape.
Alongside my boy Seb Tape.
Nah, none of this fucking happened. You're just making this up.
He played
no.
2 games in 2011. He then retired in 2011 and went to play for the Werribee Football Club in the VFL in 2012. And he ended up playing 34 games in total in the AFL. So into the special wing of the Stephenson Warry Hall of Fame, welcome, Nathan Ablett.
What? I've just got so many freaking questions.
I've got the DVD to prove it.
Mate.
Like, what?
Go on.
Why would you stop playing footy to go be a plumber to then come back, go play for the Suns? Would he stop and become an electrician after that?
It's funny. There's not much on him after that. He just it's sort of fallen out of the limelight, and that's it for Nathan Ablett. He's
What a boy.
I looked
pretty
it up.
unheard of.
He's 200 centimeters, is 6'6". Like,
Yeah, he's huge. He was
he
like
could
his
have done
dad.
anything.
He was the one that looked more like his dad. And Nathan was, of course, I mean, Gary was also, of course, the mid to small forward.
Mm.
So,
There's-
yeah, there you go. Nathan Ablett. Finally got him in. I
Man.
waited weeks and I finally got him in.
I was going to say, Maso, if you're still confused, just blame Griffin Logue.
Yeah, I would. No,
Fucking
bro.
money bags.
This is a Ross Lyon effect. Mm.
This is
Wait.
what happens when Ross Lyon becomes a coach
If
again.
I was 6'6", I could be in the fucking NBA. Like, what was his decision making here?
He lost the passion for football.
Oh,
The world's tallest plumber.
you sad giant. Jesus Christ.
Takeshita!
Ouch!
Wouch.
We're clueless. He didn't wrestle this week.
He posted. He was trying to send a message to you, wasn't he?
Oh, we thought there was nothing, but he came in clutch at the very end. He's calling me Nato.
He's calling you Nato or NATO.
Nato.
Either way, mate.
Is his handle? Is his like? What is
Yes.
his freaking
Yes.
handle? Real
Say it.
cake soup.
Yep.
Real Tucker soup?
Real take soup. Mate, there's a reason
Right.
we sort of, you know what we might do this week? Let's just talk about our wish list for when he comes back to AEW. So just quickly, we'll just quickly go around the room, 1 minute each. I want him, not even 1 minute, just quick 30 seconds. I want him to come back. I want him on the side of BCC. I think I've decided. And the
Drake
reason
on
I want
camera
that
to
is
cut
because
out.
I want Kota Ibushi to come back, and I want him to be on the other side of the elite. I want to see Kota Ibushi versus our boy Takeshita. How great would that be?
Okay,
That's
yes.
that's what I want
Okay,
for him to
yes.
come back.
Okay, yes, I agree completely with that. Yeah, no, that's perfect.
What's Nate's wish though?
I would like Takeshita to come in, get involved in a love storyline with Rio.
And Kenny.
Why?
Why not, Maso?
Why? Who's in the triangle? You said triangle.
Oh, fucking Takeshita, Rio,
Yeah.
and
Will Hobbs.
Miro. Powerhouse Hobbs.
Powerhouse.
Oh god. Oh man. No. Like no.
It reminds me of that Five Guys behind the couch with that one.
That's what I
What,
was going
because
for.
what? Because Hobbs is like 3 dudes in one?
No,
really
because
is.
Blackpool Combat Club.
You're absolutely terrible.
We're awful people. And that's it for Takeshita Watch this week. I think we'll leave it there for the week. We are the AWO Journeymen. JD, Nate, and Maso. Remember to follow us on Instagram at AWO Journeyman. Subscribe to our Spotify and our YouTube, AWO Journeyman. Like, share, subscribe, all that good shit. And, as usual, drink more water.
And don't buy this game.
Fuck.